probably be using the word we a lot. That's because it's Dr. Zeth Bird and I. We are the state for the cotton. That's us. We're not allowed to drive in the same truck. We're probably not allowed in the same room, to be honest. But when I say we, I always want them to be mentioning Zeth with me. I've been fortunate to work with two incredibly gifted cotton people. One was Dr. Randy Bowman, and the other one's Zeth. Zeth has got 2 more weeks, and he's no longer new. So I won't have to give this little speech no more. So Zeth joined us in April, and he has been a godsend. The golden age of growing cotton in Oklahoma is over. Between 1995 and 2015, it was easy. I was 310 pounds back in them days. I didn't have to do anything. We sprayed twice, and we killed weeds with Roundup. Now we went along, and let's see if I can get this. This happened 5 years before my retirement. I don't need this garbage in my life. This is a cut-off moth flight in San Angelo, Texas. The applicator was down there. Life was easy. We used to plant it, forget it. He sent out his people to cultivate and water. He went out there 30 days. He hadn't seen his field in 30 days. He didn't have any cotton left. This is for the first true example of the BT failing us. The technology has been around since 1993. And this has happened, like I said, 5 years ago. So now all of a sudden I'm down to 230. By the time I retire, I'll probably be 110, all that stuff. So hopefully not, but we'll just see. This is the field application bollworm moths. This is the bollworm complex. You got to remember, I'll give you a little history lesson. See if I get a little thing. The BT was never developed for the bollworm. It was always developed for the budworm. This is Heliothrus zea. This is Heliothrus virescens, or Helicopia virescens. Anyway, this in the Mid-South in the late 90s was resistance to pyrethroids. This is why the BT gene was developed, because this moth here, we could not kill. I mean, it took the best shot and it just kept on going through it. So when we first got our BT, they also discovered it was pretty good against the corn ear. You can tell the difference in the two species. These will have dots on its wings. This will have green stripes. We are fortunate in Oklahoma that we go from 70 to 90% of just the bollworm. The budworm is just a nasty creature. I mean, it just won't die sometime. We usually don't have to worry about it. We are dominated in southwest Oklahoma by the caprock. This is a 3 million acre cotton field. All our prevailing winds are south-southwest, and this is why we always, what happens here about 2 weeks later. We have trap lines all along the Red River and one in Caddo County just because of our southwest winds. This generally is just one big cotton group. What has happened is our acres have exploded. That I-40 corridor used to be our northern section for cotton. Reason Caddo County has some cutoff flights. Reason Beck calls me every other day to say he's going to kill himself is all these moths, when they get to I-40, generally stop. There's nothing north of there for them to go. Not even corn acres are around here. There's some slight corn up in here, but right through here, they have no place to go. So that's how come we have such a high population in Caddo County. That's why we have the only traps we care to put out besides the Red River is in Caddo County. Now, as our acres increase, this area here is going to be dominated by the Mississippi River or the Gulf of Mexico. You have to assume that every moth in East Texas is resistant. You listen to, you read us over here, I-35 is probably the corridor. Down here, you try to get as much information from David Kearns as you can, because this is how what happens here will happen in here in a week or so. We do not grow cotton in a bubble. You got to realize where your field is at. If your field is by a cornfield, you will have more pressure than someone else. If your field is by a grain sorghum field, you will have more pressure than you have. If you have unimproved pasture with a lot of host, you'll have more pressure than most people. If you're in continuous cotton, what happens with your neighbors happens to you. So you have to be cognizant of where you're at in the world. If you're on this side, hopefully we do good enough job to inform you when the moth flights are coming. Every field in Oklahoma needs scouted now. We can no longer take the attitude, if we plant it and forget it, we'll be okay. The BT technology is still the most important thing you will buy in a cotton seed. It'll cost you $18 per bag. The reason, last year was $6. The reason is conventional cotton is, the pollen's fell out of it. I mean, that's the only reason. But to be honest, it is the best buy you can have. We do not have the pressure of East Texas or the Mid-South. We can go 80% of our fields, or take it back, I just did the insect losses. 85% of our cotton fields did not need a lot of, a bollworm shot. It is still the best technology we have for this, but with our new herbicide technology, you are tied to what they sell you as a BT. The difference between a wide strike or Bogard 3. But it travels by the moon phase. Every time I start talking that way, people think I'm talking voodoo, but the moths fly 30 miles a night in the moon. It's just the way it is. They develop here, and as that moon increases, they keep on flying north. And like I said, until they get to almost our artificial barrier. If you live in the Guyman area, in fact, right through here, there's even talk about not needing the BT technology because it hasn't been a concern. It's always the insurance. If you're farming down here, you do definitely have to have the newest technology we can give to you. Here, we are almost totally compromised with the B22 gene. We are not there yet. You can plant the B2 and get lucky. You can go to Vegas, put down $500 and get lucky on the red too. So it is, we are in the business of trying to make the most money we can. It is great insurance. This year was the first year we have a significant amount of acres planted to non-BT. That's the first time I had to report that in 20 years. I have no idea where it's at. I don't know if it got ate up. It's out there. I get a list of all the varieties that was planted in Oklahoma, and it was listed. Let's see. The field identification of our worms is critical. We do have other worms besides the bollworm complex. We got beet arming worms. We got fall arming worms. They feed different. They act different. They even look different. We kill them different. The beet arming worm generally is no longer a pest in a a BT environment. They have done an excellent job of suppression. The fall arming worms, we'll get them, as like I said, in the fall. They do gnarl around the boughs. We generally do not ever have to spray for them. Every time I make a general statement, it always comes back and haunts me. 4 years ago, we had an extremely bad grasshopper year. Now I get in front of everybody and say, well, according to forecast, we're not going to have any grasshoppers this year. I got 245 pictures of grasshoppers for next month. People say, well, I thought you said we didn't have grasshoppers. Anyway, so whenever I make a general comment, I hope you take it as that. It's just, generally this should be true. The fall armyworm is just not a really true pest for us. And we do get them. They can be, you may have to control them once in a great while, but you know, it's just something to know about. This is what's coming. They show resistance to the BT gene in China, Turkey, and I think also in Egypt. This is in South America. It went down there and devastated the soybean fields one year. This thing traveled 2,200 miles in 1 year. It's not a question when if we get it, it's just when. They have stopped them at the port of call at, not Fort Lauderdale, Tampa Bay. They also saw them in Florida, south tip of Florida. And we will generally get them. I will be long gone, but hopefully when they get here, and that's y'all's problem, they say they're not as scary as he was 2 years ago. When this thing first appeared, we got scared. And they really kicked into gear and started trying to monitor them. Right now, they kind of slowed up progress, and the new VIP technology seems to be able to control them. We don't have the experience yet to say that for true. But if you do have soybeans, they'll run through you. So this is what has happened. All field data shows current BT cottons can experience unacceptable injury. We can no longer plant and forget. We have to scout our fields every week. You need to scout your fields anyway for weeds, growth regulators. You will need to do it for bollworm from now on. Unacceptable is a loose term. Dr. Bird and I can grow you 7-bale cotton. You can't afford it. You know, you'd have so many inputs in it, it wouldn't pay to do that. What we're trying to do is try to make your profit margin as large as we can at the end of the year. We accept some damage. We are not zero tolerance in a field. You cannot be zero tolerance anymore. It's obvious differences in technologies. Attend every C meeting you can, every cotton meeting Dr. Bird puts on. We try to provide all the information we can. You have to be, cotton is not an easy crop. Cotton is a really hard, it's not your grandfather's crop. There's a lot of integral stuff going on in cotton nowadays. And knowledge is the only way you can get around that. The more you read, the more you attend meetings, the more you ask questions, the better off you'll be. We are dealing with a live plant. It's not a machine. It expresses the BT in different parts of the plant differently. Time of year is different. Our maturity level, the BT is not expressed as much as it usually is. Environmental conditions. When it's growing lush, everything's good. We get some stress, we get some wind, we get some damage. All of a sudden that BT is not getting expressed in the plant as well. Where the eggs are laid, this is I hate to tell you this, but it seems like moths have got smarter. They will lay where they survive. They don't used to, when I first started, back when dinosaurs roamed Earth, we used to check the top third of the plant. Didn't have to worry about the bottom third. We never did, and we never went down into it. Now we got to check the bracts. What else we got to check back? We got to check the ground. We got to check the trucks driving by and all that stuff. They have gotten smarter. They will lay anywhere and everywhere. And it's a full plant examination. I used to be able to walk a field and never stoop over. Now, I may have to get on my knees once in a while. Resistance is, we had slippage 4 years ago. Field may just had, this wasn't expressing that good, just didn't have it. Now we got full-blown resistance. The Bogard 1 gene is totally compromised, it's totally gone. You can't, it's not even useful. The Bogard 2 gene is totally compromised. It can do sub-level economic control, but when we have major wild flats, it gets overwhelmed. We are now relying on VIP technology solely. If you want total control from bollworms, you have to plant a VIP technology. In the spring, when you go buy your plants, it's taking a risk. You can manage a Bogard 2 field in Oklahoma, but you expect to spray at least once, maybe twice. Hopefully you'll get lucky. It'll be all sub-economical, sub-level, and we'll be okay. The difference is a Vic Technology field bag of seed is going to cost you $536. Of Bogard 2, they're going to have some fire sales, $300, $310. So I mean, there may be an economical decision you have to make with a Bogard 2 versus a VIP Technology. I know some consultants, if you plant a Bogard 2, they're going to treat it as conventional. I mean, they cannot, it's a different way of scouting. I say this, like I said, the people who don't know what I'm talking about, I apologize. When you attend your seed meetings, they'll go over it. They'll say Bogard 3. That's what you want, Bogard 3. When they say Bogard 2, that's to make a deal day. Well, we can sell you Bogard 2 for this price. High press pressure. We are not a high press pressure state. It seems like it sometimes. Back in the late 80s, I used to catch 1,500 moths a week in our trap lines. Now I catch 50. Texas A&M used to take helicopters and sweep the sky in East Texas just for the Bollworm complex. We do not have the Bollworms, moths like we used to, but once again, our bubble is increasing where we have a lot more corn acres. So you may be in a high corn area, and you're growing your own, and the migration is totally different. You have to be cognizant where you're growing your fields at, what's around you. 1996, life got easy for me. That's when we had the first generation. Once again, it wasn't for the corn earworm, it was for the tobacco bud. They found out it did a really excellent job. It was nice. In 2003, we had our second generation. We had Twin Link also come out with a different gene stuff. It got really better. And since 2003, until like 5 years ago or 3 years ago, life was good. We didn't hardly have any kind of, we depended on no bollworm damage in the field. Now, things have changed. We got resistance. We are at Bogard 3, and Bogard 3 is VIP technology. Bogard 1, Bogard 2 is there because they just want it to be there. You cannot rely on it 100%. You cannot rely on Bogard 1 at all. Bogard 2, you're 70, 80% now. Once again, when you buy seed, make sure you get the Bogard 3 if you don't want no headaches. If you want to highly manage your crop, you can probably get away with Bogard 2. This is bollworms have developed resistance to Cry 1. That's, Bogard 1. And the Cry F. There's evidence to Cry 2. That is no longer a true statement. It's totally compromised. Bollworms may seek out lower BT expressions. That's once again, the moths have learned. Everything wants to survive. So everything in nature will develop a point where it's trying to survive its offspring. Like I said, whole plant examinations anymore. You can't check a field on the run. You have to stop every 20 plants and do a whole field, or as random as you can. Some varieties may express BT toxins. The only trouble is, only time you find that out is when you got that BT, or you got that variety, you planted it. Then it's a little bit too late then, but you just have to, everything revolves. Next year, you'll realize it better. Some stress cotton, when it's hurting, everything doesn't work well. When it's drought stress, the plant's not doing well, it's not expressed in BT. The only consideration we have, we probably won't have major moth flats because they are, they link to it too. If we have low bollworm pressure in non-traditional growing acres in Oklahoma, you may not never have to look at a bollworm. Where we have traditional areas where we have continuous cotton for 30, 40, 50 miles, we have, which may be a little bit more pressure. Anytime you do a monoculture of one crop, you are getting, you do risk of pests developing. I'd like to go back to that one slide where we're tied into Lubbock. There's cotton all the way from Lubbock to Jackson County. And like Jackson County, now we're getting cotton all the way up to Caddo County, I-40 corridor. So that's how come all of a sudden we see increased insect damage in the Caddo County area, or the I-40 corridor, I said. I say general statements like this: scout your own fields. There's a field in Ouachita County that we've had a variety trial on it 20 years. Danny Davis passed away, and the only reason we don't have one on him now is he passed away. I never sprayed an insect in that field in 20 years. Never did have thrips, never did have fleas, never did have aphids. It was just flat twilight zone. It's just the way it is. You have to check your own field. You have to know what's around you. You have to, get a history of what is going on. This is the Mid-South group did this because as the BT started our slippage problem, they developed a new threshold. This is totally foreign to IPM right here. We are going off damage. We have never gone off damage in IPM system ever. We always wanted to make sure the pests were there. This took a lot of work, took a lot of effort. They did an outstanding job. I should have listed the locations they did, because one is Frog Spit, Arkansas. And I should just have that slide in there so I can say Frog Spit, Arkansas. You don't get to say that word every day. Anyway, of all this, you can see all the data collected, and it's like they finally settled on this. It's 6% fruit injury. That's where you break even. That's where you have to spray. This is, if you have more than 6% random fruit damage, you're losing money. Anymore, once again, we don't go zero tolerance anymore. We're economic thresholds. We can probably sustain that injury, and we can move on. This is the pyrethroid. This is, last year they did it, it's 2014. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of money. Right now they consider it's not essential anymore to show pyrethroid resistance. They assume that it's 100% resistant. You spray a pyrethroid, you do it at your own risk. You will get towed. You will have some kills. But it's just like gambling. Sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. You will get tank mixes from some people that says and it may work. But when it doesn't, and you tell me what you used, I can tell you what happened. You got unlucky with a flight of moths that were resistant to pyrethroids. We are not tied to that on the western side of the state. Eastern side of the state would never use a pyrethroid, period. It may work. God love you. Bless your little heart. It worked. West side, it may work, but the east side, I would not do it. You are East Texas. That's what your mentality is. You are East Texas. East Texas is getting killed by the bollworm. They cannot kill it unless they have the Vic technology. They use Prevathon. That's a big no-no in OSU system for us to say a chemical. But right now, is there a generic Prevathon yet? No. It's Prevathon, Prevathon, Prevathon. You can get mixes, and like I said, you'll get lucky. Trouble is, with Prevathon, with a non-Prevathon, you've taken all your beneficials out, you'll get aphids and spider mites later on. This is old school. This is back in the late 1980s. We made this slide. It feels like 1880s. Can you see that up there? Whoop. Well, I did a little bit too much. That top red, blue, we can kill that worm every day of the week. We can even kill with pyrethroids sometimes. This is also susceptible. If you see that worm in your BT field, you still have a chance of the BT gene actually working on it. See the middle? You get into an area that's getting, better hurry up. Anyway, we're getting to an area that's iffy. Pyrethroids won't touch this. Prevathon will. They don't like to use the top worm, the spray on the top worm. They don't like that the next worm at all, but it'll still kill it. But our efficiency goes down. It's 100% in the blue. In the yellow, 80 to 85 is probably what you can expect. Whoop, let's see. Right there, get you 2 bricks. That's the only thing that's going to kill them worms. We can't kill that worm. I don't care who you are, what you say. That worm's about to be pupated out. It's about to fall on the ground. It's done the most damage it's going to do. It's gone through some bowls for you. It has reduced your yield. If you spray that bottom worm, all you're doing is that's revenge spraying. It may make you feel better, but it doesn't help your crop. Conclusion. No BT cotton variety or technology is immune to unacceptable. We scout fields nowadays. We cannot we cannot non-scout a field. Scout your fields. I love BT. Made my life a whole lot easier. Give it a little chance to work. Just be cognizant of what size worm. Remember that blue worm inside that circle? That BT can still actually kill that worm. Based on fruit injury alone, that's 6% random square damage. It's hard to do random. Everybody will tend to go to the damage square and pick it up and count that. A true random square count is when you just walk through grabbing squares without almost not looking at it, then counting the squares. Our fruit injury, they did a lot of work. 6% is just good. And like I said, that's not foolproof. That is, the best we can do. Make sure which worms you're dealing with. This is the best thing you got. Take a picture of it, send it to us, we'll get it ID'd. You got to know what you're dealing with to kill it. Do not get them big. They get big, they're already doing the damage. Pyrethroids are inexpensive. You're going to get you're going to get a shock sticker. A pyrethroid shock goes for, with application, $8, maybe $9. Pyrethroid shots with application goes for $18 to $21. You pay for what you get. I don't have stock in them. They don't give me no kickbacks. They don't even give me a calendar anymore since Mike Johnson retired. It just saves a lot of problems. When you get into August and first September, and you don't have to fight aphids and you ain't fighting spider mites, it does pay. But like I said, that's your economical decision. I can't even talk this morning. Anyway, that's your decision. That's how much money you want to spend on that crop. I know it's hard. I don't pay your bills. I do feel for you. It is a difference between $8 and $21 per acre. I understand why you're doing it. I don't act like I'm just looking down at you. I know why you're doing it. If you grow cotton in the state of Oklahoma, this is Dr. Zeth Burns and I newsletter. We have 500 people on this newsletter. It gets forwarded to another 500. We have 1,000 people reading this newsletter. We are awful proud of this newsletter. Last time USDA gave us an entity list for Oklahoma, we only had 425 people that grew cotton in Oklahoma. Now that's increasing, I'll give you that, but we really are proud of this newsletter, how much we cover. We are going through a survey process right now. Tell us what you want us to read more about. Tell us if what we're doing wrong, please. Doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm 59 years old. I have no feelings left. I got a daughter. She tells me every day what I'm doing wrong. So please, if you don't have this newsletter and you want to grow cotton in this state, if you deal with cotton in this state, please get on it. Please tell us what else information you want on it. You know, we are dealing with a lot of issues in the state of Oklahoma with the cotton. Hopefully we're in front of it. If not, we will find the information and give this out to you. This is our web page. Go up there, yeah. We are in association with Harvey Schrader, the Executive Director of Oklahoma Cotton. This thing had 14,000 visitors as of yesterday for this year. Like I said, for a small little state that only has 425, we are awful proud of this webpage too. This has all our annual reports, all our newsletters. If you don't, you know, the newsletter is free. We send it out, but if you want to read some back issues in some newsletters, you can go back to this site and do it. Like I said, we thank Harvey for allowing us to, to be part of this. This is our webpage off the Oklahoma State server. Hopefully every technological bulletin, really in-depth research is on this page. If it involves cotton, we tried to put this on there. It will put you to sleep on some of these technical papers, but if you don't find what you want off both web pages, please give us a call. We, like I said, hopefully I use the word we a lot. It is Dr. Zeth Bird and me. Call us. We will try to help you as much as we can. We have gone from 160,000 acres 6 years ago to they're forecasting 1 million acres next year. We are on the road a lot. In fact, Dr. Bird's phone died 3 days ago because he's been on it so much. But we are here to help you. We are here to answer questions. Just, like I said, that's, if it's busy, just leave a message. We'll get to you eventually. We will call you back. It is, as Explosion of Acres, I used to be able to give a talk and I knew everybody in the room. I almost knew about 3/4 of where their fields were. Now it's different. We got new growers. And like I said, it's not your grandfather's cotton. You're investing too much money, too much time to put a cotton crop in without as much knowledge as you can get. Hopefully we can provide that help to you.